Picture this. You receive an invitation, but it's not meant to celebrate you. It's designed to destroy you, to parade your pain in front of strangers who'll film your humiliation on their phones. That's exactly what they planned for Marie. Marie spent her days making buildings shine. She scrubbed toilets nobody wanted to touch. She wiped down mirrors that reflected faces of people who never saw hers. Her uniform smelled like industrial cleaner. Her knees ached from kneeling on cold tile. Most folks stepped around her like she was part of the mop bucket. Invisible, forgettable, less than human. So when that envelope landed in her hands, her gut screamed danger. It came from the wedding of two people who represented everything she'd never be again. Richard, the cold-blooded executive, and Simone, the kind of woman who wore cruelty like designer perfume. But Marie didn't know the invitation was laced with venom, a public execution disguised as generosity. But here's the thing about life. It loves a comeback story. Because the woman they expected to crumble, the one they invited just to laugh at, she walked into that ceremony like she owned the ground beneath her feet. What happened next shattered everyone in that room. The building where Marie worked touched the clouds. Glass and steel stretched upward like a monument to greed. Black town cars idled at the entrance. Leather briefcases swung from manicured hands. Conversations revolved around mergers, acquisitions, offshore accounts. Money didn't whisper here, it shouted. And Marie pushed her cleaning cart down hallways lined with abstract art worth more than her yearly salary. Head low, shoulders back. She was 44 years old. Her hands told stories her mouth never would. Stories of sacrifice, endurance, survival, loss. She knew every inch of that tower, every scuff mark, every loose tile, every hidden corner where executives made deals they'd deny in court. People talk when they think nobody's listening. And Marie? She'd become a master at disappearing. When you're invisible, she'd tell herself, you see everything they try to hide. But one person made damn sure Marie never forgot her place. Simone was young, stunning, wealthy, and venomous. She glided through the lobby like she'd bought the building with her daddy's platinum card. Her heels, Italian, her handbag, this season's exclusive, her smile, a weapon. One afternoon, she'd stopped directly in Marie's path, looked down at the wet floor and said, "Careful, honey. This marble costs more than everything you'll ever own." Marie swallowed the disrespect. She had rent to pay. Utilities don't care about your dignity. Life doesn't pause because someone treats you like trash. But today felt different. Simone's eyes glinted with something darker. Marie noticed her approaching with 3 friends, all cut from the same cloth. Designer dresses, fake laughter, real contempt. Simone carried a small ivory box, holding it like a trophy. Marie stepped aside instinctively. She'd learned to avoid trouble. She didn't know everything was about to change. Simone crossed her arms, flashing that smile, the kind that looked warm but felt like ice. Her friends struggled to contain their giggles. Marie gripped her cleaning rag tighter. Nothing good ever came from Simone's attention. "Haven't seen much of you lately, Marie. Avoiding me?" Simone tapped the elegant envelope against her palm. "Well, I've got something special for you. A real surprise." She pulled out the envelope with theatrical flair. Thick paper, ivory finish, gold wax seal, the kind of invitation people like Marie never touch. Marie stared at it, her instincts screaming. This wasn't kindness. This was warfare. Simone's smile widened, predatory. "Here, an invitation. Richard and I are getting married Saturday at the Belmont Garden Estate, and you're invited." Her friends erupted in laughter. One nearly choked on her own amusement. "Not everyone gets invited to something this exclusive," Simone added, her voice dripping with false generosity. Marie froze. A wedding invitation? To their wedding? She looked at the envelope again, then at Simone's face, and suddenly understood. This wasn't a gift. This was a setup, a cruel performance with her as the punchline. Simone's grin stretched wider. Wear whatever you want. Just please don't show up in that uniform. We wouldn't want guests confusing you with the help. The laughter exploded, sharp, cutting, designed to wound. Maybe she could clean up after, one friend shrieked, and they cackled like hyenas. Marie's fingers crushed the envelope. Her face burned, her throat tightened, but she refused to give them tears, refused to bow. With a voice steady as stone, she said 2 words. "Thank you." Simone blinked, momentarily thrown. Marie turned and walked away, clutching the envelope like evidence. For the first time in a decade, something shifted inside her chest. Not anger, not sadness, something bigger, stronger. She examined the gold lettering later. You are cordially invited to the wedding of Simone Laurent and Richard Hayes, Saturday, 6 p.m., Belmont Garden Estate, black tie attire. Black tie. Translation, gowns that cost thousands, jewelry most people only see in magazines, things Marie no longer owned. The message was clear. This wasn't an invitation. This was an ambush, a public humiliation designed to remind her and everyone watching exactly where she belonged, at the bottom, at I. The Belmont Garden Estate wasn't just expensive. It was legendary. A sprawling property where the ultra-wealthy celebrated themselves. Crystal chandeliers hung from oak trees. Imported roses lined marble walkways. People like Marie didn't attend events there. People like Marie didn't even deliver catering there. High above the lobby, Simone stood on the second-floor balcony, champagne glass in hand, watching the world below like a hawk circling prey. "Think she'll actually show?" one friend asked nervously. Simone laughed, cold and confident. "If she does, it'll be the highlight of my entire reception. Can you imagine everyone's faces when Richard's little janitor walks in thinking she belongs?" She raised her glass in a mock toast. "Honestly, I'm curious. Does she even know what black tie means?" Below, Marie stood alone. The envelope trembled in her hands. Her heart felt heavy. Shame wrestled with rage. But beneath both, something fiercer was waking up, a fire she'd buried for years. For a moment, she considered shredding the invitation, tossing it in the dumpster behind the building, pretending it never happened. Then she caught her reflection in the glass door. Tired eyes, worn uniform, weathered hands, and she whispered to herself, "They think I'm nobody. They think I don't belong. They think I'm beneath them." Her jaw clenched, her grip tightened. "Maybe," she said quietly, voice hardening, "it's time they remember who I really am." If you believe in stories about people reclaiming their power, hit that subscribe button for LostBlack. Because this story, it's just getting started. Marie climbed 4 flights of stairs to her apartment. The elevator had been broken since July. Each step felt like lifting concrete blocks. She unlocked the door. The scent of lavender incense and stale coffee greeted her, comfort mixed with melancholy. She dropped her bag on the worn couch, sat on the edge of her bed, and for the first time since receiving that envelope, she wept. Wept for the insults, wept for the laughter, wept for all the years people looked through her like glass. She touched the invitation gently. The gold lettering still gleamed, permanent, undeniable, just like the ache in her chest. Her mind became a battlefield. If I go, they'll destroy me. I'll be their joke, exactly as planned. But if I don't go, if I stay home, doesn't that mean I agree with them? That I really am nobody? Her eyes drifted to a photograph on the wall. Crooked, faded, yellowed at the edges. Her mother, simple Sunday dress, radiant smile, unbreakable eyes. Her mother's voice echoed across the years. Dignity isn't something people give you, baby. It's something you carry, especially when the whole world says you're worthless. Then a memory crashed through Marie's defenses. A memory she'd buried under years of survival. A life she'd promised herself never to remember. Because Marie hadn't always been a janitor. She walked to the closet and pulled out a small wooden box from the top shelf. Her hands shook. She set it on the bed, opened it slowly. Inside were photographs, but not from this life. In these photos, Marie looked different, confident, joyful, powerful, standing tall in beautiful clothes, smiling beside community organizers, speaking at fundraising events. Beneath the photos lay an old certificate. The edges were frayed, but the name remained bold. Marie Thornton, founder and executive director, Thornton Community Initiative. Her fingers traced her own name. She stopped breathing. That was her. That was real. Her father had owned 3 businesses. He'd mentored young black men trying to escape the streets. He'd funded scholarships, built community centers. Her mother had been a beloved school principal, respected across the city. Marie grew up with purpose, with vision, with power. She'd gone to college, started a nonprofit, helped hundreds of kids get into universities, gave hope to families who'd lost it. Until everything collapsed, money vanished. Not stolen by her, but stolen in her name. Legal battles, debts that multiplied overnight, lies that spread like cancer. Then her parents died within 6 months of each other, and her world shattered completely. Everything disappeared. The house, the car, the organization, her reputation, gone. All she had left was survival, and sometimes surviving means becoming invisible. But now, looking at those photographs, something inside her stood up. "They think I'm just a janitor," she whispered, her spine straightening. "They have no idea who I am." At the bottom of the box was a folded letter. She recognized the handwriting immediately. Tasha, her best friend from before, a powerhouse fashion designer who'd moved to New York. Tasha had written, "If you ever need me, call, day or night. I'll drop everything." Marie picked up her phone. Her hands trembled. She hovered over the contact, then pressed call. The phone rang. Once, twice. Then, "Hello?" The voice sounded shocked. "Marie? Oh my God, is that really you?" Marie closed her eyes. "It's me, Tasha. I need help, and I think it's time the world remembers who I am." The next morning, a sleek black SUV parked outside Marie's building. The rear door opened. Tasha stepped out, sharp, polished, commanding. Her sunglasses covered half her face. Her blazer fit like armor. Her heels clicked against the pavement with authority. She saw Marie and her eyes widened. Then she smiled, warm and fierce. "Oh my God, it's really you." She pulled Marie into a tight embrace, like she was trying to glue broken pieces back together. Marie's voice cracked. "I didn't know who else to call. I'm tired, Tasha. I'm tired of hiding." Tasha held her face gently. Her voice was soft but powerful. "You didn't call for help. You called for a reminder of who you've always been. And I've got you." Inside the apartment, they spread the old photographs across the table, opened files, examined everything like generals planning a campaign. Tasha opened her sketchbook. "Tell me something. How do you want them to see you when you walk into that wedding?" Marie looked straight ahead, her voice steady. "I want them to see the woman they tried to erase and failed." Tasha smiled slowly. She grabbed her tablet and started sketching rapidly. Strong shoulders, elegant lines, regal silhouette, power wrapped in grace. "Tasha, I can't afford," Marie began. Tasha raised her hand, cutting her off. "Don't insult me. I'm not doing this for money. Women like us don't bow. Not today, not ever." They worked for hours, choosing fabric, selecting jewelry from Tasha's private collection, planning hair, planning makeup. Every detail mattered. As the sun began to set, Tasha held Marie's hands and looked directly into her eyes. "When you walk into that wedding, they won't see a janitor. They won't see someone broken. They'll see a queen." Marie smiled softly, but inside her heart, something massive was awakening. This wasn't just about a dress. This wasn't just about appearance. Today, Marie was choosing something far deeper. She was choosing to remember who she'd always been. The wedding day arrived. The sky blazed bright blue, almost surreal. Birds sang. The breeze was gentle. The kind of day wealthy people believe was created just for them. The Belmont Garden Estate stood like a palace. Luxury cars lined the circular driveway. Rolls-Royces, Bentleys, Maseratis. Women floated in gowns that cost more than most people earn in 6 months. Men in custom tuxedos stood under massive crystal chandeliers hanging from ancient oak trees, champagne glasses in hand. In the center of it all stood Simone, the queen of the day, smiling for cameras, turning, posing. Every flash fed her ego. "This wedding will be unforgettable," she whispered to a friend, adjusting her diamond tiara. Richard, the groom, looked bored. He scrolled through his phone, barely acknowledging the spectacle around him. Someone leaned toward Simone. "Do you really think she'll show?" Simone laughed loudly, rolling her eyes. "Please, that woman knows her place. Trust me, she's not coming." She turned away confidently. But while they laughed, a black car rolled quietly toward the entrance. Slow, deliberate, elegant. The car stopped. The rear door opened. First came the shoes, 6-inch heels, black, sleek, powerful. Then came the dress, a floor-length silk gown, midnight black with gold accents that caught the sunlight. The fabric moved like liquid as she stepped out. The dress fit perfectly, elegant but commanding. Not excessive, just power. A gold wrap draped across her shoulders like royalty. Her hair was styled in an intricate updo like a crown. Her earrings were slim gold bars, understated but unmistakable. Around her neck hung a silver necklace with a single black stone. Not loud, not screaming, just powerful. Her face was calm. No fear, no shame, only one clear message written in her expression. "I know exactly who I am." The entire venue went silent. Guests stopped mid-conversation. Waiters froze. Champagne glasses hung suspended in the air. Even the photographer slowly lowered his camera. Simone felt something shift. She turned slowly. Her smile vanished. Her eyes widened. Her breath caught. Her hand trembled slightly because she suddenly realized this wasn't funny anymore. Marie began walking, slow, steady, powerful. The white carpet beneath her feet became her runway. Every step radiated confidence. Every movement was intentional. Her dress flowed behind her like smoke following fire. Nobody spoke. Only the sharp sound of her heels echoed against the stone courtyard. Then the whispers began, soft, curious, confused. "Who is that? Is she somebody important? Is she famous?" Richard finally looked up from his phone. His eyes widened. He froze completely, watching Marie like time itself had stopped. Simone felt heat crawl up her neck. Her stomach twisted. She stepped backward, then again. Her grip on her bouquet tightened until her knuckles turned white. "No, no, this can't be happening," she whispered under her breath. Marie didn't rush. She didn't look around nervously. She didn't seek approval. She walked like a queen returning to her kingdom, because that's exactly what this was. When she reached the center of the courtyard, every single guest had turned to face her. Phones lifted. Cameras flashed. People leaned toward each other, whispering, guessing, wondering, admiring. Simone forced herself to smile. Her lips trembled. Her chest felt tight, but she moved forward anyway, fake confidence plastered on her face. "Wow," she said, her voice sweet on the surface, poison underneath. "What a surprise seeing you here." Her voice cracked slightly, but she covered it with another smile. "You really dressed up." The words were soft, but sharp. Marie turned her head slightly. She gave a small smile, calm, dangerous, knowing. "Yeah," she said slowly. "I did." Her eyes swept over Simone deliberately. "And looking at you, I'd say you dressed up too." She paused, then added quietly, "Shame all that money can't buy class." A soft gasp rippled through the crowd like wind through leaves. Some people tried to hide their shock with nervous laughter. Others just stared, mouths open, unsure what to say. Simone's face turned bright red. She gripped her bouquet so tightly the stems nearly snapped. Her eyes darted from face to face, searching desperately for someone to rescue her from this moment. "What is she doing here?" she hissed to a friend. "Who does she think she is?" Before her friend could answer, an older gentleman stepped forward from the crowd. He had silver hair, an impeccable suit, and the kind of quiet dignity that didn't need to announce itself. He leaned forward, studying Marie closely. His eyes widened. His hand flew to his mouth. "Wait, is that Marie Thornton?" he asked, his voice shaking. The entire venue went completely silent, truly silent. No music, no conversation, nothing. Everyone waited. Marie slowly turned her head and looked at him. Her voice was calm, strong, unwavering. "Yes," she said. "I'm Marie Thornton." The man stepped back like the air had been knocked from his lungs. "My God," he whispered. "I worked with your father. I worked with him at the Thornton Community Initiative. You were the heart of it. Where have you been all these years?" Gasps spread across the garden like wildfire. "Thornton Initiative?" someone whispered. "That's her?" another voice said quietly. "No way!" Simone's legs nearly buckled. She struggled to stay upright. Her breaths came quick and shallow. Her hands shook violently. The truth hit her like a freight train. She had tried to humiliate a woman whose name had blessed entire communities long before this wedding existed. She had tried to reduce a queen to a clown. Simone moved backward slowly. The color drained from her face. "No, this can't be real," she muttered, so only those nearby could hear. All around, guests started piecing it together. They whispered. They looked at Marie. They looked at Simone. Some who had laughed earlier now looked like they wanted to disappear into the ground. The older gentleman stepped closer. He held Marie's hand tightly with both of his. His eyes glistened with emotion. "Your father was a legend in this city," he said. "And your mother, my God, what an extraordinary woman. I had no idea. I had no idea what happened to you." Marie squeezed his hand gently. "Life took me places I never expected," she said softly. "But there's one thing life couldn't take from me: who I am." Standing beside Simone, Richard watched everything unfold. His eyebrows pulled together. His face grew serious. He turned slowly to his bride. "Simone," he said quietly, "what exactly is this?" His voice was low, dangerous, the kind of calm that signals true anger. Simone's mouth opened, but nothing came out. She tried again. It was just a joke," she said quickly. "A harmless joke." Richard's face hardened. "A joke?" he repeated. "You tried to humiliate a woman who's done more for this city than half the people at this wedding combined." Simone's hand shook harder. "No, Richard, it's not like that. You don't understand." But the words died in her throat. Marie stepped forward. Her voice wasn't loud, but it carried across the entire venue. "There's no need," she said calmly. "I didn't come here for revenge. I didn't come to ruin anyone's day." Her eyes moved to Simone. Her gaze was sharp but controlled, clear, precise. "I came to remind everyone here, that dignity isn't about money. It's not about position. It's not about titles. It's about who you are when nobody's watching." The entire venue went still. You could almost hear heartbeats. Then somewhere in the crowd, one person started clapping. Just a single pair of hands. Then another joined, and another. Soon the entire garden filled with applause. People stood from their seats. Some wiped quiet tears. Others nodded slowly, finally understanding something important. Simone couldn't take it. Her face twisted. Her chest rose and fell rapidly. She pushed through the guests, her bouquet falling to the ground, flowers scattered across the white pathway. She ran from the garden, out of sight, fleeing directly into her own humiliation. Marie closed her eyes for a moment and took a long, deep breath. Today, she hadn't just attended a wedding. She had shown up as herself. As the applause continued, Marie stepped back slightly, quietly observing. The same faces that used to look straight through her were now looking at her with something new: respect, recognition, honor. Richard stood there, phone hanging forgotten at his side. He stared at Marie like he was seeing her for the first time. "Marie," he said slowly. I had no idea. His voice was smaller now, less arrogant, more human. If I had known, I swear. Marie gently raised her hand, stopping him. No need, she said. Her tone wasn't harsh. It was firm and kind simultaneously. I didn't come for explanations. I didn't come to make anyone feel small. She looked around at the crowd. Her eyes moved from face to face. I came for me, she said, and maybe to remind some of you that the people you ignore, the ones you treat like they're invisible, are carrying stories you can't even imagine. Richard swallowed and lowered his head slightly. He knew there was truth in her words, heavy, undeniable truth. All around them, guests shifted uncomfortably. Some looked down, others turned to look at the workers surrounding them. The catering staff, the janitors, the security guards, people like Marie, people they'd walked past earlier without a single glance. And slowly, their faces began to change. Respect crept in where arrogance used to sit. Then several guests stepped forward. Some were faces from Marie's past, people who had known her when the initiative was thriving. Others were strangers, but strangers with open hearts. If you ever bring back the Thornton Initiative, one businessman said, count me in. I want to support it. Me too, a woman added quickly. Your family's work changed lives. We can't let that just disappear. Marie smiled softly. Her eyes shone with unshed tears. Maybe, she whispered. Maybe it's time. She lifted her face slightly as if looking beyond the sky, as if speaking to her parents, as if telling them, I'm still here. I'm still fighting. When she turned to leave, the crowd parted. But this time, it wasn't because they thought she didn't belong. This time, they made way with honor. They created space the way people move for royalty, because that's what she looked like, a queen. Near the exit, Tasha stood waiting beside the car, arms folded, back resting against the door. A proud, knowing smile rested on her lips. So, she said with a playful smirk, raising one eyebrow, was it enough? Marie looked back at the glowing lights, at the elaborate floral arrangements, at the chandeliers suspended from trees, at all the things that once made her feel small. Now they just looked empty. Pretty, but empty. She took a deep breath, a breath that sounded like freedom. No, she said quietly but with strength. It's not enough. This is just the beginning. Tasha laughed and reached for her hand, squeezing it firmly. Damn right, she said with a grin. Let's go build something so powerful nobody will ever dare forget your name again. The car slowly pulled away from the estate. The sun was setting, painting the sky deep gold and soft orange, almost like the universe itself was applauding Marie. She sat by the window watching the city move past. In the glass, she could see her reflection. Not a janitor, not a broken woman, not someone discarded. She saw a woman who had been knocked down but never truly defeated. A woman who still carried her crown, not on her head, but in her heart. A crown nobody had given her. A crown nobody could take. If you believe in stories about reclaiming dignity, about refusing to stay invisible, subscribe to LostBlack. More powerful journeys are coming, and we want you with us. Marie leaned back in her seat, watching the city lights blur past. Tomorrow, she'd return to work. She'd push that cleaning cart. She'd scrub those floors. But something fundamental had changed. She wasn't hiding anymore. She wasn't pretending to be less than she was. She pulled out her phone and opened a note. At the top, she typed, Thornton Initiative, Rebuild Plan. Beneath it, she wrote one sentence. They tried to bury me. They didn't know I was a seed. Tasha glanced at her from the front seat. What are you thinking about? Marie smiled. I'm thinking about every person who's ever been made to feel invisible, every person who's been told they don't matter, every person who's been reduced to what they do instead of who they are. And, Tasha asked. And I'm thinking, Marie said, her voice growing stronger, it's time we remind the world that dignity doesn't have a price tag.